Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Uma was warned, we find, right? Uma was warned by the FBI on April 5th interview, where she told investigators that she, quote, routinely forwarded emails from her state.gov account to either her clintonemail.com or her yahoo.com account so that she could print them. She explained that it was difficult to print from her state printer, so she printed the documents at home. That, of course...
She went home.
That, of course, concerned agents who were a little worried about the susceptibility to hacking of a standard issue Yahoo account, since Yahoo accounts had been hacked prior to that, and the Hillary Clinton shadow, as she's termed, potentially exposing classified information to susceptibility. So she was warned, and so it prompts the question: what else was she warned about, or what other warnings did she ignore that may be discovered via the FBI's ongoing review of the shared computer at the Wiener household? Well, for more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Fox News chief Washington correspondent, also author of the book on one of my intellectual heroes, William F. Buckley, the James Rosen book, A Torch Kept Lit, editor of a new William F. Buckley collection of essays.
You dressed up as William F. Buckley, Jr. for Halloween yesterday.
As I have every year since 1976.
Okay, great.
James Rosen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
That makes me feel terribly inadequate because I've just been dressing up as Ed McMahon for Halloween. So
you gotta
we'll have to switch 70s TV icons.
That's right. Up your game, man. What about that, Uma and Anthony, particularly Uma, and what she was warned about and how that may factor into what is discovered?
Dan and Amy, great to be back with you. Every indication that we have from the FBI is that this search of these hundreds of thousands of emails that have been discovered on this Aberdeen Wiener laptop will extend beyond the election, and that there's no possible way for them to review them all in the next week. But we are also told that they are using certain kinds of software in order to be able to kind of grope the elephant in the darkness, if you will, more swiftly, so that they can, perhaps using software, determine more swiftly how many of the hundreds of thousands of emails are duplicates, how many of them are ones that they have read on some other device in the existing FBI investigation until now. But we've got a long way to go, and this could very well follow into the next year, even as we see one of the two candidates before us being sworn in as president.
So Uma handed over to the State Department and to investigators 2 laptops and a BlackBerry, but she said she didn't realize that she had emails on her husband's laptop. Can you officially confirm how those got there? Was it because that he was downloading or backing up her smartphone?
I'm not in a position to confirm that. But, it could just be that she would forward him something honestly, this requires the resources of an FBI in order fully to understand. But what we can clearly understand at a glance is that there was not really, on the part of Secretary Clinton and her top aides, a culture of propriety where it came to the security of this kind of information. And in fact, Director Comey, in his original statement on July 5, where at the time he declined to go forward with any kind of prosecution, did speak to what he called a culture at the Clinton State Department of laxity surrounding these issues.
Let me ask you this: as somebody who's covered the State Department, has been attempted to be written out of history by the State Department, all of these WikiLeaks emails that have come out, in addition to the development on Friday. Anything from your kind of firsthand experience that few of us have, does anything surprise you, or is that description you just gave of the Hillary Clinton State Department culture kind of all-encompassing with respect to now the evidence supporting that contention?
The only thing that surprises me is that operators who are said to be as sophisticated as the John Podestas of the world are still putting into email things that they would prefer that the world not see. We have been using email pretty constantly on a daily and hourly basis, since the late 90s, since at least 2000 or so. And so we've all been on notice for a long time. Andy Warhol famously said that in the future everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. My addendum to this is yes, and in the 16th minute, everyone becomes Richard Nixon, which is to say that everyone will see their private tapes, their private emails, their texts, all their private stuff, so to speak, disgorged into public view, and you will be vilified from coast to coast on the basis of it. And John Podesta is the latest addition to that club. But Richard Nixon is really the last public figure in American life who could be forgiven for imagining that it won't all come tumbling out, that all your stuff will remain privately yours. We've been on notice since the Supreme Court ruled in that Watergate tapes case that your stuff's going to come out one way or the other. And here we are.
Yeah, and we're also getting a better picture of the tangled webs of interconnections and relationships. And so another one comes to the fore. The letter that DOJ wrote to Congress saying they're going to work closely with the FBI and together dedicate the necessary resources for this review of emails. Signed by Assistant Attorney General Peter J. Kadzik. Peter J. Kadzik, who had dinner with John Podesta the day after Hillary's Benghazi testimony. Peter J. Kadzik, who represented Podesta during the Monica Lewinsky investigation, who Podesta said was a fantastic lawyer who, quote, kept me out of jail. And now he's the Deputy Attorney General in charge of taking down Podesta, the candidate for whom John Podesta is the campaign chair. That doesn't look proper, does it?
Certainly we don't want to be in the business of defaming all terrific attorneys who keep people out of jail. We need those people.
Yes, of course.
However, it was interesting to watch at yesterday's White House press briefing. My Fox News colleague, Kevin Corke, who does a great job covering the White House for us, asked the White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest yesterday if the president believes the time has come for a special prosecutor in this case. And Earnest was swift in saying, no, the president doesn't feel we're anywhere near that point. And he expressed renewed confidence in James Comey and the FBI, presumably and in the Department of Justice to handle this within ordinary channels. But that could well be a scenario we are seeing form just to play. Well, you know what? I shouldn't get involved in the business of playing prognosticator. You almost lulled me into it, Dan and Amy.
That's how we work. That's how we operate. You got to be careful.
If the current bombshell news about the reopening of this FBI investigation does not dramatically alter the polling landscape, let's say, and we have a President Clinton being sworn in on January 20, and we still have the Republicans in control of at least one chamber in Congress, that the presence of that Republican majority could be sufficient to create the political pressure that would result even in a Clinton administration, the appointment of a special prosecutor that would presumably go some way toward reassuring people about the kind of concerns that you just elicited about this gentleman.
Or it could provide the political pressure for an Obama 11th hour pardon.
We are deep in there now, aren't we?
Yes. All right.
We're not coming back.
All right. He is James Rosen, of course, the Fox News chief Washington correspondent. The book, check out. It's about Bill Buckley. It's his work. James Rosen, the editor of a new Bill Buckley book, A Torch Kept Lit. James Rosen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Lovely to be with you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.